South Korea is sending a delegation to brief NATO and EU members in Brussels amid allegations of North Korean soldiers now being deployed to front lines in Russia. In Japan, the ruling Liberal Democratic Party and its coalition partners lose a majority in a key parliamentary election, putting Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba in a quandary. With the 2024 presidential election about a week away, campaigning gets fiercer between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump in a race that's hard to predict. It's October 28th, 8 p.m. in Seoul. This is Newscenter. Thank you for joining us. I'm Yoon Jung-min. A South Korean delegation is poised to share with NATO its intelligence regarding Russia's enlisting of North Korean soldiers, who Ukraine claims are being stationed on the war front. Kim Jong-sil begins our coverage.
Tensions are rising as new intelligence from Ukraine suggests that North Korean soldiers are being deployed to Russia's Kursk region to assist Moscow's military efforts there. According to the Kyiv Independent, Ukraine's military intelligence agency reported on Sunday that Russia is transporting North Korean soldiers using trucks with civilian license plates based on intercepted radio communications from Russian military officials. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, in a video address posted on X, warned that North Korean troops may join the battlefield in a matter of days, adding that Ukraine could soon be forced to fight North Korean troops in Europe. According to the Wall Street Journal, the 3,000 North Korean soldiers being sent to the front lines are described as young, likely in their late teens or early 20s. The report also noted that the soldiers appear relatively short and slightly built, reflecting widespread malnourishment across the regime. When asked about the humanitarian concerns surrounding this deployment, Seoul's Ministry of Unification said on Monday that it is closely monitoring the situation. On the same day, a high-level government delegation, including defense and intelligence officials from South Korea, is set to brief NATO and EU member states in Brussels. The delegation aims to provide NATO and the EU with critical updates on North Korean troop movements in Russia. Kim Jong-sil, Arirang News.
Against this backdrop, the Defense and Foreign Affairs chiefs of South Korea and the U.S. will hold separate talks this week in Washington. Eyes are on what will be addressed regarding Pyongyang's dispatch of troops to fight for Moscow. Cha Yun-kyung has more.
Amid heightened tensions on the Korean Peninsula following North Korea's deployment of troops to Russia, the foreign and defense chiefs of South Korea and the United States will hold their 6th 2+2 talks this week. According to Seoul's Foreign Ministry, Minister Cho Tae-yeol and Defense Minister Kim Yong-hyun will hold talks with their U.S. counterparts, State Secretary Antony Blinken and Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin in Washington on Thursday local time. The upcoming meeting is the first in 3 years, following the last such interaction back in 2021. The top officials are expected to issue a joint statement after having comprehensive discussions on issues related to the Korean Peninsula, especially on ways to respond to Pyongyang's dispatch of troops in support of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Foreign Minister Cho is also set to have separate ministerial talks with State Secretary Blinken to discuss the Korea-U.S. alliance, Korea-U.S.-Japan trilateral cooperation, and mutual assistance against North Korea. Cho will also meet with leaders from the U.S. government and academics and ask for unchanging support and cooperation for the strong alliance between the two nations. In addition, Cho and Kim are scheduled to visit Ottawa, Canada on Friday to hold the first 2+2 talks with Canada's Foreign Minister Melanie Joly and Defense Minister Bill Blair. Canada is the third country that South Korea has 2+2 talks with, following the U.S. and Australia. The ministers of South Korea and Canada also plan to issue a joint statement after discussing issues regarding the peninsula, main local and global issues, and ways to cooperate for the national security and defense of both countries. Cha Yun-kyung, Arirang News.
North Korea has reaffirmed its accusations of drone intrusions by South Korea into Pyongyang earlier this month. South Korean military called it unilateral claim and not worth responding to. Our defense correspondent Kim Bo-kyung has the latest.
The drone took off from South Korea's Baengnyeong-do Island and intruded into North Korea's airspace. This is North Korea's analysis of how the unmanned aerial vehicle that Pyongyang accused South Korea of sending this month crashed in its capital. According to the Korean Central News Agency on Monday, the regime's defense ministry analyzed the flight control program from the debris it retrieved. It claimed the drone took off from the South Korean border island at 11:25 p.m. on October 8th and scattered anti-North Korea leaflets over areas between its foreign ministry building and Seungri metro station at 1:32 a.m., as well as the defense ministry building at 1:35 a.m. on October 9th. North Korea has even unveiled an image of what it claims to be the drone's flight route. The KCNA added that among the 238 flight plans and logs of the drone that were recorded from early June 2023 to early October 2024, all flight data except for the one on October 8th showed the drone was flying in South Korean territory. To this, the South Korean military said on Monday that North Korea's claim is unilateral and not worth confirming nor responding to. It added that although North Korea has sent several unmanned aerial vehicles into South Korean skies over the past decade, it had shown no sign of regret. The Unification Ministry also warned that whatever North Korea's intentions may be, there is nothing it can gain through threats and provocations. As for the North Korean leader's sister, Kim Yo-jong's recent warning over a possible drone infiltration into the south, the JCS warned of corresponding measures.
If a drone infiltrates, we'll take corresponding countermeasures and take the appropriate action to protect the safety and property of our citizens. As we have warned several times already, the military is prepared and will respond with an appropriate level of readiness.
Kim Yo-jong had issued a statement that indicated her irritation over South Korea sticking to its stance of neither confirming nor denying it had sent drones, while imagining a situation where an unidentified drone flew over Seoul and scattered anti-President Yoon Suk-yeol leaflets. Kim Bo-kyung, Arirang News.
In neighboring Japan, a snap election this past weekend is looking to have an impact on Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba's ruling coalition as it loses its parliamentary majority. Park Go-nu explains what this could mean for Japan as well as its relationship with South Korea.
In a key parliament election held Sunday, Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba's ruling coalition lost the majority of seats it previously had. That's the first time in 15 years the Liberal Democratic Party and its junior coalition partner party Komeito have lost the majority after briefly losing power in 2009. The coalition earned just 215 seats out of 465 in Japan's lower house, 18 short of the 233 seats needed for a majority. Its extensive financial scandal in late 2023 and increasing living costs are major factors behind falling public support. While especially attacking the ruling party with the money scandal, the main opposition Constitutional Democratic Party of Japan gained a significant number of seats, going from 98 to 148. The leader of the main opposition party, Yoshihiko Noda, said the loss by the LDP-Komeito coalition was a huge achievement, saying the country is on the eve of a change of government. Concerns of political uncertainties are rising after Ishiba gambled on calling a snap election to bolster his position as soon as being freshly minted as prime minister this month.
Based on what I see now, it's quite a tough situation. I'm in the party where I cannot ignore those who don't agree with what I say. In trying to manage these dynamics, I feel I've lost my sense of self.
Pundits say the administration may struggle to form a government, and also say that Ishiba's position is in jeopardy unless he brings the cabinet popularity back up in time for the House of Councillors election held in July next year. In order to remain in power, the LDP could try to bring other parties to its coalition or simply try to rule through a minority government and focus on domestic issues. Pundits also predict that due to the election outcome, the ruling party will not be able to make bold decisions easily related to improving relationships with South Korea. Park Go-nu, Arirang News.
We are counting down 8 days to the U.S. presidential election. Campaigning gets fiercer between Democratic nominee Kamala Harris and her Republican counterpart, Donald Trump. Lee Eun-jin tells us more.
Turnout is key to the 2024 U.S. presidential election as the race remains neck and neck, with poll results among registered voters nationally showing a percentage point gap within the margin of error. In the latest polls released on Sunday, ABC News Ipsos shows Harris to have an advantage of 4 points among likely voters, 51 to 47%, indicating that the gap has widened since an October poll showed the incumbent vice president leading with 50% compared to Trump's 48%. But while the CBS YouGov survey also says Harris is ahead, it is by 1 percentage point, 50 to 49% against Trump. That gap has tightened from Harris's lead of 3 percentage points in October. Harris on Sunday encouraged young first-time voters during a campaign rally in Philadelphia. She highlighted that there were only 9 days left in what she called one of the most consequential elections of our lifetime.
And we must not wake up the day after the election and have any regrets about what we could have done in these next 9 days. So let's spend these next 9 days knowing we did everything we could.
On Sunday, after attending church services, Harris visited a barbershop, a bookstore, a Puerto Rican restaurant, and a youth basketball facility. The battleground state is home to a large community of Puerto Rican voters, and Harris took to social media on the same day, vowing to launch a new Puerto Rico Opportunity Economy Task Force if she wins the presidency. Meanwhile, during Trump's pre-show lineup for his campaign rally in Madison Square Garden in his hometown of New York City, some speakers threw insults at Harris, Hillary Clinton, illegal immigrants, and the island of Puerto Rico, which one comedian referred to as a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean. During that rally, Trump added a new proposal for a tax credit for family caregivers to his list of tax cuts to win over older adults and blue-collar workers.
And I'm announcing a new policy today that I will support a tax credit for family caregivers who take care of a parent or a loved one. It's about time that they were recognized, right?
On Tuesday, Harris will be in Washington, D.C. to deliver her closing argument speech against Trump, while Trump heads to Allentown, where more than half of the population is Hispanic, with the majority of them from Puerto Rico. Lee Eun-jin, Arirang News.
In the Middle East, active shuttle diplomacy continues as mediators seek a ceasefire deal against the war between Israel and Hamas, following Israel's retaliatory attacks against Iran over the weekend. Lee Eun-hee covers the latest efforts.
Negotiations to advance a ceasefire deal in the Israel-Gaza conflict have resumed in Qatar. According to reports, CIA Director William Burns and the head of Israeli intelligence service Mossad arrived in Doha to meet with Qatar's prime minister to discuss a hostage release deal. On the same day, Egypt publicly proposed a 2-day ceasefire, during which 4 Israeli hostages in Gaza would be exchanged for Palestinian prisoners held in Israeli jails, followed by more negotiations within 10 days aiming for a complete ceasefire. On Saturday, the Israel Defense Forces announced that it targeted aerial defense systems and missile manufacturing facilities in Iran in retaliation for Iranian attacks on October 1st. Iranian state media reported that around 5 people were killed in the strikes, including 1 civilian. In what other countries, including the U.S., hope will be the end of hostile exchanges, Israel's prime minister said that the strikes severely harmed Iran and that Israel had achieved all of its goals. Meanwhile, Iran's supreme leader commented that the attack should neither be exaggerated nor downplayed, but he did not call for retaliation. Hezbollah and Israel continued to exchange attacks on Sunday, with Hezbollah announcing a strike on a military site in Israel's northern coastal city of Haifa. They also issued a civilian evacuation order for border areas, marking the first such directive by Hezbollah since the conflict began. According to Israeli sources, some of the 75 rockets fired from Lebanon were intercepted, but a 57-year-old woman was seriously injured. On the same day, the Israeli military ordered civilians in 14 villages in southern Lebanon to evacuate north before launching airstrikes. The Lebanese Health Ministry reported that at least 21 people were killed on Sunday in Israeli strikes on 3 different areas in southern Lebanon. Lee Eun-hee, Arirang News.
An intergovernmental organization, the Financial Action Task Force, has upgraded South Korea's international standard compliance evaluation grade to the highest rating. The upgrade follows an annual meeting of the task force at the headquarters of the OECD last week. The latest revision means Korea goes from being a country that requires a strengthened follow-up inspection to a regular follow-up inspection. North Korea, meanwhile, has been designated as a country with a high risk of money laundering and terrorist financing for the 14th straight year. On the local front, the ruling and main opposition parties launched a joint consultative body on Monday to promote pledges related to public livelihoods made during the April general election. The launch comes some 2 months after the first official talks between the leaders of the two parties, during which they agreed to set up such a body. Discussions will include better support for small business owners as well as that for the chip and AI sectors. Also, given the shared concerns over the low birth rate and rapidly aging society, the parliament is poised to note some tangible progress during its regular session in November. Eco-friendly consumption patterns are helping Korean customers to keep a firm grip on their purse strings. Moon Hye-ryun explains.
When people bring their own cups or containers, they get some discounts or receive membership benefits at various coffee shops and beverage retailers. Consumers are giving favorable responses since they can save money and go green at the same time. Convenience stores are also welcoming personal cups by setting up washing facilities, allowing consumers to wash their cups easily and fill them up with new drinks. People can get additional discounts of 300 Korean won when they make coffee using their own containers. Sales are from a franchised convenience store offering this in 2022, more than doubled compared to the previous year. Sales also increased by 46.1% as of the third quarter of this year and are still rising. In the convenience store, there is a cleaner refill station where people can get refills of cleaning fluids by bringing their own containers. Consumers can refill laundry detergent and washing up liquid made from eco-friendly plant materials. Sterilizers have also been set up for hygiene management of containers.
At the cleaner refill station, consumers can refill cleaners with a discount of around 20% from the market price.
Kaeong district of Incheon have set up a battery exchange service, switching around 20 waste batteries for one new one. The service will start to expand gradually. Eco-friendly consumption can start from where we're at. Moon Hye-ryun, Arirang News.
Let's now take a look at what's been happening in sports. For that, we have our sports editor, Paul Neat, joining us in the studio. Hi, Paul.
Hello there.
Let's begin with baseball. The KBO Korean Series could be concluded tonight.
Yes, you're right, because the Kia Tigers hold a 3-1 series lead over the Samsung Lions. And another win in tonight's game, Game 5, would secure a first Korean series for the Tigers since 2017. It is currently 5-3, though, to the Samsung Lions in the bottom of the fifth inning. In Game 4 on Saturday, the Tigers won 9-2, helped by Kim Tae-gun hitting a grand slam in a third inning that saw the Tigers pick up 6 runs. Starting pitcher James Nail struck out 7 in the 5 2/3 innings he was on the mound for. Only once before has a team been 3-1 down and got on to win the Korean series, and that was the Samsung Lions in 2013. A win tonight for the Lions in Gwangju would mean Game 6 on Tuesday and potentially Game 7 on Wednesday.
We will have to wait and see then. To football and the K-League, Ulsan HD are edging closer to the title.
Yes, they are now 4 points clear at the top with 3 games to go. On Sunday, Ulsan beat East Coast derby rivals Pohang Steelers 2-0 thanks to goals from Go Sung-bom and Joo Min-gyu. It was Ulsan's first win of Final A this season following the draw with Gimcheon Sangmu last time out. But hot on their heels is Gangwon FC, who are the only team to win both of their Final A matches. Ulsan face Gangwon this Friday in a potential title decider. At the other end of the table, in Final B, Incheon United gave themselves a relegation lifeline, beating Gwangju FC 1-0 thanks to a first-half goal from Stefan Mugosa. With the 9-time K-League champions Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors losing to Jeju United, it means that Incheon are only 2 points behind Jeonbuk in 11th. The two meet this Saturday in a huge relegation six-pointer.
To golf now, the DP World Tour was held here in Korea over the weekend. Fittingly, a South Korean golfer won.
He did, that's right. Am Byung-hun, who beat Kim Ju-hyung in a playoff at Jack Nicklaus Golf Club in Incheon on Sunday for the Genesis Championship. The two finished tied at 17 under par. They began the final round tied as well, and both shot a 5 under 67. An hit a birdie on the par 5 18th hole in the first playoff. Kim hit a bogey, his first on the 18th throughout the whole tournament. This is An's second victory on the DP World Tour. His first was back in 2015. The DP World Tour, formerly the European Tour, is co-sanctioned by the KPGA Tour.
All right, and finally to esports. An Asian Games gold medalist is through the League of Legends World Championships.
Yes, Faker and his T1 teammates are through to the final. On Sunday at the Adidas Arena in Paris, T1 overcame Genji 3-1. T1 is set to face the Chinese team Bilibili Gaming at London's O2 Arena on November the 2nd, aiming for their 5th World Championship title and 2nd in a row. Team captain and mid-laner Faker has now reached his 7th career final. He was part of the South Korea team that won gold in the Asian Games in 2023.
All right, great stuff. Thanks, Paul. See you next week.
Thank you.
The whole country rose to around 20 degrees Celsius during the daytime today. Tomorrow will be mostly cloudy across the country with huge daily temperature differences, so please take care of your health. Clear skies will come back on Wednesday. The expected amount of rain is as much as 30 millimeters in the eastern parts of Gangwon-do Province and 5 to 10 in the coastal areas of Gyeongsang-do Provinces and Jeollanam-do Province. You should be careful with strong winds of around 15 meters per second in these areas. Rain will stop tonight or tomorrow morning, and Jeju Island will receive up to 40 millimeters of rain between tomorrow dawn and afternoon. Tomorrow, Daejeon and Daegu will start off at 12 degrees, Gwangju 14 degrees. Highs will move up to 20 degrees in Daejeon, Gwangju and Daegu. Busan and Jeju 23 degrees. Inland areas are expected to be clear without rain throughout the week. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world.
And that is Newscenter for tonight. Thank you for watching. A panel session up next.